Mic check 1 2 1 2. Shalom, me homies. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to watch an important video from this former Black Panther who is addressing the very real issues that we have going on in this country, all of the civil unrest at the hands of the ICE agents that have invaded several cities within our backyard. He is going to be talking about things from a historical perspective based on his experience during the civil rights acts, him growing up under extreme oppression in the 60s and the 70s, and then also his time as a Black Panther, what that did to him and how he learned from the pros and the cons of being a Black Panther. I think it's going to be very instrumental in learning this so that we can do something proactive about what is happening right now in our society. But before we start this video, I need to let you guys know he's starting this video by addressing disturbing comments he received in his previous video from a group called FBA, which is Foundational Black Americans. I had heard the term before, but I didn't really know what it was, so I had to look it up myself. And apparently it's a group of Black people who are descendants of slaves who believe that they have a stake, a claim to their residency here in the United States above other immigrants such as recent Africans and Caribbeans, even though Africans and Caribbeans consider themselves Black as well. But the descendants of slaves are like, no, you don't have a right here like we have a right here. So there's been this battle between these two groups, and apparently they were coming after him pretty hard in his last video, so he's addressing that at the beginning of this video. So let's get to it.
Some of the comments disturbed me, not because they criticized me, but because they reveal something deeper happening in our country. As I was reading, I noticed a group of comments that made my soul tremble. They came from people identified as foundational Black Americans, FBAs. I want to be honest with you. I wasn't familiar with the term, so I researched it. And what I found disturbed me. Not because of pride, not because of history, but because of the amount of anger being aimed outward, especially towards immigrants.
That's crazy.
There's a real pain there, real frustration, real resentment. But pain, when misdirected, becomes dangerous. So I want to offer a different perspective today, not a dismissive one, not a lecture, not a scolding, a lived one. I grew up Black in America in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Those were oppressive times. I couldn't go where white people went. I had to use colored bathrooms with colored signs for color only. And when I went shopping with my parents, as they was paying a utility bill, which was normally at the local courthouse, I couldn't just use any available bathroom if I had to go use the bathroom. I couldn't just use any available bathroom. How many times my father had to take me past 2 or 3 bathrooms with signs said for whites only, down a few flights of stairs to the basement to use the colored bathroom with the for colored sign on it. Black people couldn't drink from the same water fountains. We couldn't work at certain jobs and places. Couldn't even get a job at McDonald's. We couldn't try on clothes or shoes in the stores. If they didn't fit when you got home, too bad, you couldn't return them. And when I was 13 years old, the Ku Klux Klan chased me home after purchasing a bottle of Excedrin from a store I wasn't allowed to go into because it was mostly patronized by whites and blacks wasn't allowed. But my mom had a headache and sent me to get her some medicine. That wasn't history. That was my childhood. Life was tough, and that's why I joined the Black Panthers. But hear this carefully. We weren't fighting white people. We were fighting oppression. The oppressors just happened to be white people. And it was not all white people.
Mm.
There have been white people who have supported us through all our struggles. The abolitionist movement, the March on Washington, the Selma March. The Black Panthers had white supporters too.
Mm-hmm.
Go back and look at some newsreels from back in the day, and you will see white people assisting in those events. Oppression is a system. Oppression uses people.
Mm.
Oppression convinces ordinary citizens to protect it.
Wow.
That distinction matters.
It most certainly does. I love what he said about white people. The reason why I love that so much is because oppression does not have a skin color. And in fact, I submit to you that oppression is not a system, it is a stronghold. I'm a believer. I'm a believer in the Most High Yah. I'm a believer in the creator of everything seen and unseen. Therefore, I believe in the spirit world. There are good spirits and there are evil spirits. There are powers and principalities that govern this world. The God of this world is Satan. I believe all that stuff. Therefore, the oppressive systems that are in place, which are evil, they come from the evil one. And we have to identify the spirit behind everything. I do not care what color of skin that you are in. If you believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not just through your words, but most importantly, through your actions, then we are family. I do understand that there's a lot of hurt and a lot of pain out there for people of different races, especially within my community. I do understand that, and I felt that as well. But unless we start really focusing on what truly matters, we will always be subject to this system of bondage and oppression. You'll never be free from it. I like where he's going with this, and he's got much more to say. So let's get back to this.
I need to say this clearly. Things escalated in those days. There was chaos. People were hurt. Lives were destroyed. Communities paid the price. And here is the part people rarely talk about. Violence did not liberate us. It made the cost unbearable. The overwhelming harm did not fall on the institutions. It fell on us, the people. That's why I am not romanticizing that era. I am warning against repeating it, because what might have felt unavoidable then would destroy us now. I want you to understand something crucial. The conditions that existed when I was young do not exist today. Back then, power was hidden. Information was slow. Abuse could be denied. If something happened in one city, the rest of the country may never even hear about it. Today, that is no longer true. Every action is recorded. Every response is documented. Every mistake is replayed. That changes the equation completely. In the past, escalation forced attention. Today, escalation forfeits legitimacy. Violence no longer exposes injustice. It obscures it. And once legitimacy is lost, the people lose leverage. That is why I am telling you plainly, what worked under oppression then would empower oppression now. Let me explain this carefully. Governments do not fear chaos. They prepare for it. They train for it. They budget for it. They justify expansion through it. Chaos gives cover. Chaos allows emergency powers. Chaos allows suspension of norms. And chaos allows the silencing of dissent.
Ooh.
Order without justice is dangerous. But chaos without strategy is a gift to authority. That is why the loudest calls for violence only come from people who would never pay the price for it. The people who pay are families, communities, young men and women with no exit. I've already seen that movie. I'm not interested in watching it again. Power today does not live only in buildings. It lives in relationships, in families, in phone contacts, in group messages, text messages, emails. A soldier does not belong to Washington. A police officer does not belong to an agency. They belong to communities. They have mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers. They attend churches, barbecues, family gatherings, and conscience is activated far more effectively at a dinner table than on a street corner. That is not weakness. That is reality.
You see what he's doing there? He is reminding us of the reality that the people who you may see as your enemy, such as police officers, soldiers, whatever, whoever, they're human beings. He is refocusing your thought pattern to recognize and remember that these people are human beings. One of the things that the stronghold of oppression does is that it seeks to dehumanize people groups so that it keeps you divided and it keeps itself strengthened and empowered. Look at what the powers that be did to black people right here in this country. They dehumanized them, which took away the guilt that people would feel for doing all of the atrocities to this people group. That dehumanized the people that actually participated in these atrocities. So they actually became victims as well. Look at what the U.S. did back in World War II when they were fighting against Japan. They dehumanized the Japanese people so that the citizens here in this country wouldn't see them as human and they would not feel bad about doing the extreme atrocities that they did to them, which ultimately came to a head when the U.S. dropped 2 atomic bombs on civilian cities in Japan. So what I'm getting from what he is saying here is that we must keep a level head in these troubling times. We cannot react on our feelings and our emotions, because our feelings and our emotions, they will lead us into destruction. We must understand, especially as believers, that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty through Yah for the pulling down of strongholds. That is not something that we can do in and of ourselves. We must be completely dependent on the Most High.
I know patience is not popular, especially when people are afraid. But impatience is exactly what power depends on.
Yeah.
Impatience creates mistakes. Mistakes justify crackdowns. Patience does the opposite. Patience forces accountability. Patience keeps moral authority where it belongs, with the people. This is not passive. This is active restraint. And restraint is power when exercised collectively. That's why I stand where I stand today. Today, I'm a medically trained physician. I'm also a trained attorney. I'm also a trained engineer. And I also maintain a degree in business. And I'm also a licensed pilot who can fly his own plane. None of that would have been possible without me and people like me who chose justice over revenge. Immigrants, legal and illegal, come here for the same reasons my ancestors did. They wanted freedom, a better life. I've done medical missions in countries many immigrants come from. Believe me when I say this, you live better here than they lived there. Many of them were oppressed too, by colonizers, by systems, by poverty. So when we turn on each other, we are aiming at the wrong target.
Yes, indeed.
Oppression loves division.
Yep.
Let me be unmistakably clear. Violence is not the answer today. Chaos is not leverage. What works now is calm, focus, direct objectives, patience. Movements win now by awakening conscious, especially inside institutions. Military members and law enforcement officers are not our enemies. They are our families, our neighbors, our communities. And conscience does not awaken through fear. It awakens through human contact. So if you're new here, please go back and watch video 1. Can America be saved?
I will have to do that. I'm gonna leave a link in the description to this man's channel, this video in particular, so you can go to his channel and actually check out his content. I really did enjoy this video overall. The one thing I would add to it is that me being a believer, and I imagine many of you who are going to watch this video are also believers, that our hope and our trust is in Yah. It's not in people. It's not in ourselves. Things that are going on in this world, especially in this country, they are direct judgments for what this country has done. I firmly believe that. Does that mean that we should not pray for this country and our brothers and our sisters and our neighbors in this country? No, it doesn't mean that. I do believe we should be praying for mercy, praying for peace, because the Most High, he is compassionate and he is great in kindness. But at the end of the day, Yah's will is going to be done. In the meantime, in between time, we must stay vigilant. We must be patient, and we must be listening and trusting in him so much that we are awaiting orders from headquarters. We must be meek, because the meek will inherit the earth. Meekness is not weakness. Meekness is power restrained, because we know that this is the end times. We know that these are the last days. And what does it say about those in the last days? Those who endure until the end, the same shall be saved. So we must endure under Yah in these troubling times. They're very fearful. They are scary. They are causing a lot of people anxiety. And through fear and anxiety, people are doing things that are causing more harm than good, like this gentleman was alluding to. I also find it very troubling that so-called black people who identify as FBA will be against immigrants, when you yourself, your ancestors were not born here. Your ancestors were taken by force from the continent of Africa, in particularly West Africa. So you are of a completely different people group, lineage, tribe, nation. You're not of this nation. You're here. You were born here. You're just living your life the best way that you can, but you're in the land of your oppressors. Let's not get it twisted, okay? Let's not live in some fantasy in our minds that we're going to get reparations or something. Do you want to receive the treasures on this earth, or do you want to receive the treasures in heaven? Because you can't have your cake and eat it too, boo-boo. And anybody who is hating on the oppressed, I don't care what color skin you're in, anybody hating on the oppressed is hated by Yah, because Yah favors the oppressed, favors the poor. It is written in Psalm 72, starting at verse 12. He will rescue the poor when they cry to him. He will help the oppressed who have no one to defend them. He feels pity for the weak and the needy, and he will rescue them. He will redeem them from oppression and violence, for their lives are precious to him. All of us have been oppressed to some extent. Okay? Our rescuer, our deliverer is the Most High. That is who we are waiting on. That is who we depend on. Now is the time, more than ever, for us to trust in Yah. What does that mean exactly? That means when all of these systems fail, the fiat currency, you no longer have a home to live in. You can't buy food. When all of these systems fail, all of these comforts here in this country fail, you'll have nothing. What are you going to do? Those who trust in Yah will have the resolve, the mental strength, the spiritual strength to continue to continue forward. They will not bend the knee to the system. They will not bend the knee to the God of this world, no matter what. But those of you who do not trust in Yah, you'll be more willing to bend the knee, especially when they take everything from you, everything that you love and you depend on. If you don't love and depend on that stuff right now while you have it, when it's gone, it won't mean that much to you. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like content like this video, please subscribe and save it to a playlist. That really does help a lot. Thank you so much. I'm out. This is Brother Nick. Shalom, homies.